Hey everybody, it's Master Gallengeist here, bringing you my review for Resident Evil, the final chapter. And you kind of know what you're getting with Resident Evil movies at this point. And this one was a little bit... You didn't even really get... you did get a lot of zombies, but they weren't really that integral to the plot. And most of the kind of mutant kind of aspects really didn't take much precedence either. What really took precedence was kind of like finishing Alice's journey and kind of wrapping up her story in some kind of way. And we get started off with pretty much a recap, almost kind of a retcon, because continuity for this thing is all kinds of screwed up. Let's put it that way. So in that rationale, it kind of has the same kind of stuff as the games, but that's not to this degree. The games don't have to this degree. This is just like what we get more into the person that created the T-virus to save his daughter from a disease, and of course Umbrella's like, we want to use this, and we find out that the whole idea around Umbrella using this was to pretty much do a God's flood, Noah's Ark kind of scenario to wipe out everyone, pretty much do an apocalypse before the actual apocalypse kind of stuff, because we see Dr. Isaacs talking about this in a video on before, talking to, incidentally, the doctor who made the virus's daughter, who the virus didn't actually save her as much and aged her, and she was still affected by the disease. And she was against it, and him and the rest of them were for it, so they made bunkers with the people and all the high command of Umbrella. And adding the religious overtone kind of stuff, I was like, what? I mean, in the games and stuff, and most of the other stuff, it was purely for, like, world domination purposes. I get that. Adding the religious thing is just like, what? Okay. So, we kind of get that stuff into effect, because the movie starts out giving us pretty much info dump to kind of get any new people who are like, I've never been into this, I wonder, and kind of get them up to speed. And we get started out with the fact that Alice is in Washington, and it was a trap set up by Wesker, who Wesker somehow escaped and was in the Hive place in Raccoon City now. And she dealt with this giant flying bat thing, which was a pretty cool sequence, and then gets contacted by the Red Queen saying that she's got a certain time limit, otherwise the rest of the human population that is on the surface of the earth will be destroyed, because Umbrella is taking tanks and making giant zombie hordes to kill them. Which is kind of effective a little bit, but I mean, you can bioengineer giant monster things. You could take those zombies, use the organic material to make a giant monster thing that would be more effective at destroying these settlements. That's one thing. Then we see that Dr. Isaacs is alive, because Alice gets captured and is like, what the heck? It's like, oh, that was a clone that you killed. It's like, oh, here we go. Because we have had clones of Alice introduced, but this clone concept completely takes over as the enemy central part of what's going on in these proceedings. Because she gets to Raccoon City, and she's able to escape, gets there, meets up with Claire, incidentally, Claire Redfield, and I don't know how she escaped from DC. But, hey, how are all these people? And then, of course, they deal with the zombie horde. They did a pretty cool scene where they used all this gasoline to pretty much kill one zombie horde, but there's more zombie hordes coming, because they've got, evidently, a good amount of Umbrella employees to drive tanks and bait these giant hordes, which it doesn't seem that effective since you've got rockets and machine guns on the tanks. I mean, these settlements would be greater defended against zombies. You could just blow them up or use something else. It's like, what? So they deal with that, and then they go pretty much get to the Umbrella the Hive, the Umbrella headquarters that they've got. And of course, Wesker's in there being like, I am evil. Unleash the dogs, Cerberus! It's like, okay. And then we get chase scene as we've got last couple of Battle of the Survivors who they are given names, but we're given almost no reasons to truly care about them. It's like, there's an Umbrella covert person. I don't care. I don't. Because it's just unnecessary at this point. She's got a time limit. She's cutting it close as it is. What does this add? Nothing. So they pretty much get through. We see this giant door closing, and that's the thing. I'm glad at least that when you have a giant door or a giant fan, it is used in an effective way to take someone out. We get one of the people that was turned into a zombie. He gets crushed in the closing vault door. And we get this giant fan, and someone gets chopped up by the giant fan. That's at least a good hard troop kind of action troop for it to be done. It doesn't really add anything, but I'm glad that they are like, we've got this thing, we must use it. And it's like, okay. Does it add anything? Not really, because you're just taking characters that I don't care about and killing them. Alright. We get an action scene with some kind of like mutated thing that was pretty cool with how Alice had to take out, but then that just begs the question of why those weren't used more. So they pretty much get down there and we find out that, look, this is the real Dr. Isaacs, who has not been exposed to the T-virus, but has been enhanced to the point of being able to figure out how to take someone out fast as all hell. Because Alice is thinking of all these ways to kill him and all that. And it's like, nope. And we find out that this Alice that we've been following the whole series has been a clone of the daughter of the Doctor. And it's like, yeah, like we needed that twist. It really adds nothing. It's like, okay, so you're the version of her that could have been without the disease. Okay. And it's like, okay, you gotta use this antivirus to stop the rest of the T-virus and save everyone. It's like, even if it kills you because you've been exposed to the T-virus as well. And we did get a cool out of Wesker because the daughter of the Doctor fires him, and then the Red Queen's able to say, ha! Because that's been her whole hang-up, is that she can't kill anybody who's employed by Umbrella. And most of the people in there are employed by Umbrella. But if they're not, and then we get pretty much some cool fight scenes with Dr. Isaacs and Alice, and going back into the laser grid, and her pretty much getting into a scenario where she had to put herself at Dr. Isaacs' mercy to let a grenade off near him, and that was a pretty effective measure to take him down a peg, which I thought it pretty much would kill him, and like all the advanced cybernetics somehow made him to be okay. While we get the other clone coming down with the giant zombie hordes, like, I will kill her, blah, blah, blah. And they get outside. Alice is almost about to crack open the anti-T-virus and is stopped by the clone. And the real Dr. Isaacs is like, no, you're the clone. I'm the real one. And then he kills him, gets eaten by the zombies, and Alice is able to unleash it. The zombies go down. She's alive. Of course, they blew up all the rest of the Umbrella people in the Hive. And before she was killed in the explosion, the daughter was able to download all of her memories so that way Alice could have them and feel more complete. It's like, oh, that's kind of cool, but alright, it at least wraps up some stuff. And we get a little bit more in that, since this is airborne, it's got to be carried by the wind, so the T-virus will take probably years or whatnot to be taken out, and that's kind of where we're left off. She's still kind of like hunting stuff, and it's done, but it's not done. It's like Alice's arc is pretty much wrapped up, but there could be others. It's like, okay, it's weird that whenever it's like, this is the final one in the series, but we're leaving it open-ended enough that if we make enough money on this, we can still make more, so we can make more money. It's like, okay, you could have just ended it in a cool way, but alright. And I like the action scenes in this, and the plot though kind of muddled and a little bit weird, at least there was enough plot to be like, Alice has an objective. She has to get there and get it done. And that at least drives through the movie and at least keeps you interested, even if it's like, okay, why are we here? Why is this taking so long? Who is that person? I know they're gonna die, but I want to remember their face so that way I know the epic way that they died. Which most people don't die epically at all, really. I mean, the vault and the fan is like, okay, you've seen that kind of stuff. You want a little bit new stuff. This is focused more on action more than horror, which you kind of want more of a balance. You want to feel tension when they're trying to fight something. Otherwise, you don't feel invested in it. You know what I mean? That's kind of why like Die Hard kind of works as an action movie, because you have the tension of this is just a regular guy fighting people who have superior skills. This, granted, Alice doesn't have the T-virus anymore and all that, but you know that she needs to get to certain points, so she's got plot armor that'll essentially protect her until the story deems otherwise that she should die, or find a convenient way to get out of that, so that way this story's wrapped up but can lead to other stories. So overall, I enjoyed it. It was just kind of weird that we're like, oh, we're going to go into the clone route again, aren't we? Okay, that's understandable because we've kind of got it put into this point. But I wish a little bit more had been done. I wouldn't recommend going to see it. If you are a Resident Evil movie fan, I'd wait until it would either come out on like movie channels, or it's cheaper to like rent or something. Otherwise, if you're just into like you want to see an action movie or whatnot, go for it, but like on a cheaper day or whatnot. Otherwise, I would wait for it. So those are my opinions on the movie. Tell me what you guys think in the comments below. If you liked it, if you didn't like it, if you agree with me, if you disagree with me. Also like and subscribe, and I hope you have a good day.